cultivated, land must be mined, land must be in the African hands. When we are done with all the politicking, all the interesting politicking of saying things, slogans, and viva this, viva that, when all is said and done, there is one thing that we need to do ultimately, and it is ownership of land. Now, the ownership of land simply means that we now as Africans have access to means of production. Land is not just for accommodation. Land is not just for mining, but land is also for food, for security, for longevity, for posterity, and land is the only ministry that we can talk about is the ministry of land. And therefore, in whatever way you may want to put it, do your buying of houses in town and streets and etc. But how sad that finally when you retire, you're going to retire on land. Now, don't make land a retirement package. Get active in working on the land and building your retirement home while you still can. And we need to start saying land and agriculture must be made to be sexy. It must be exciting. It must become part of the curriculum. It must be illegal for any African institution not to teach agriculture, not to teach land. We need children to put their hands in the soil, love the soil, work with the soil. It must become natural to every African child to know, to understand, to work, to envy, to protect land. Because this education of ours that we have received, which gives us these fake lives that are in town, these flats we live in, this other type of life, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable at all. The real sustainable community is a community that is attached to land. I would like to recommend, therefore, that part of our educational programs must make agriculture compulsory. Agriculture must be compulsory. At least if you fail mathematics and English, be able to cook, plant your own food and eat for yourself. At least there's no student, there is no citizen of Africa who can fail to look after their own stomach. And this thing of memorizing lots of this poetry and doing English does not work. No one eats grammar, no one eats past tense, no one eats Pythagoras theorem here. What we all eat is food. It must become a national crisis for Africans to transform our educational platforms and make agriculture must be compulsory. You must know how to plant, how to harvest, and how to prepare your own food. Every man must know how to look after their own stomach. Every woman must know how to look after their own stomach. We cannot leave these businesses of our stomach with pick and pays and checkers and the high street shops to be looking after us. No, that's not okay, because the amount of chemicals and pollution of the ground, pollution of the very food that we are eating is on steroids now. There's lots of contamination of food. Our stomachs are full of food but empty of health. One thing every African child must do is to learn how to work with the land, how to work the land. So the secret is that we make agriculture compulsory so that we have a mighty, full national army of farmers who can do food, And not only do we have food enough to, in fact, sell excess, because some of us are saying we need land, but we're not even able to use the small little pieces of land that we have behind our houses, in our small little cottages. We can plant food everywhere else, but there are lots of opportunities when it comes to land. And one of the opportunities is agriculture. The other opportunity is housing. The other opportunity is mining. Mining. You need to own land and not only worry about what is on top of the land. Do an extra research and go underneath the ground and find out what is there. While you are digging your boreholes, a simple strategy. While you are digging your boreholes, you dig for 10 meters, you take the sample, put it on the side, another 10 meters, put the sample on the side, another 10 meters, sample on the side. If you are digging a borehole up to 80 to 100 meters, by the time you finish digging, already you have 20, 30 samples that you can take to the mining geologists and you find out what is underneath my soil. You may never know you're sitting on top of a gold mine or a diamond mine. Africa is rich like that. Rich like that. So it is not correct that we only think about agriculture in terms of what is on top of the land. There is also that benefit that underneath the soil there could be some minerals and resources that must be exploited. And while we are doing that, we are going to do it in a responsible way in terms of preservation of our very environment. And land is beautiful. Plant trees, rehabilitate the ground, rehabilitate the forests, plant indigenous plants, plant food, plant trees. Once you've planted your trees and your flora is back, surely your honey is not far away from there. And do ecological agriculture where bees, fish, and trees, citrus trees, you create an ecosystem of agriculture. And this is how you want to retire. This is how you want to live on a day-to-day basis in your own space. So we need to start talking about the issue of land tenure. Now land tenure means that the government is now making all land valuable. All land becomes valuable. I was in Pambepfumi a week ago, and all land is valuable. All of it. You can take any piece of land and walk up to the bank and you can activate the financial system. And we here in Zimbabwe, something very exciting is starting to happen. The president, together with the government, have started to release these land tenure documents, which are back-to-back with mining concessions also, which are 99-year leases, and it could be more. So don't politic too much, especially my Zimbabwean people. You like complaining too much. Go and access these pieces of paper, then take them to the bank, unlock the value of the farm or the piece of land in terms of mining, agriculture, manufacturing, anything that you might want to do with that piece of land. Now, this for me begins to turn the very wheel of economics of a country, where our land is our surety and our guarantee, and you can now take your title deed or these tenure documents into the hands of the banks, unlock the financial resource. And now this is where the discipline comes in. Again, you get money from the bank, you buy cars, you buy shoes, and you go to Dubai and spend the money. You lose the land again to those that you will have leased the land to you. Now you need discipline, good business plans, and work to develop ourselves. Young people, there is nothing that stops us from growing ourselves. And one way of being healthy, one way of being wealthy, it is to invest in land. Invest in land. Identify land as soon as you can and start preparing for your own retirement. You don't owe us anything. We don't owe you anything. You have a right of doing what you want to do with your life and prepare for your retirement so that you don't become a nuisance to other children when you are grown up. Land, land, land. Let's work the land. Let's own the land. Let's eat from the land. Let every child know what is on top of the ground and underneath the ground. And when Africans are conscious to the value of their land, don't be led astray by this urbanization. The value of land. Land is the only ministry that we have. One ministry only. One ministry is the ministry of land. Forget all other things they try to tell you, politics. Only one ministry. One ministry of land. And if the government does not have land, then what are you doing in the parliament? What are you doing? Wasting people's time. Because the only thing we're talking about here is land. The coal, it's land. The trees, it's land. Water, it's land. Housing, it's land. Agriculture, is land. Culture is land. An African cannot practice spirituality if he does not have access to land. We want our rivers, we want our mountains, we want our forests. And this is, so when many times people look at me and many of my friends talking about African spirituality, the only thing they think about is worshipping under trees or doing some funny things or jumping fires, and then that's African spirituality. No, African spirituality teaches you how to have a relationship with your land. How to have a relationship with your land. And once you have your relationship with your land, that is spiritual. From that, you can unlock the economics. You can unlock the food. You can unlock the medicines. You can unlock the housing. You can unlock the good living that you are looking for. So the spirituality of Africa does not have to do only with worshiping, kneeling down and praying and calling on ancestors. No. African spirituality is the relationship which you develop with your resources. And once you have a relationship with those resources, you can now exploit them for wealth. That's what this thing is all about. And without land, you cannot practice African spirituality because you need access to the mountains, access to the rivers, access to the land, access to the forests. For that's where we begin to experience preserving that which we are related to in terms of our totems and etc., etc. So yes, land. Land is the most important ministry any government can be talking about. Any African who does not have land or does not know how to work with the land, you become a basket case of the state. When people are talking about poor people, we talk about people who have nothing, who have no land. So please, take advice from a fool. When you still have a little bit of muscle, take your money, buy land, negotiate land, get yourself working. You can fail anything else, but you can't fail to look after your own stomach. Planting your own food. Learn to love the land. I thank you.